Hi everyone, welcome to today's lesson on the purpose of leads in a personal narrative. And today we're going to go over some of the different techniques and the different methods that authors kind of grab their audience and write a lead for their personal narrative. This is a little different than writing an intro paragraph to say like an essay about literature or any informational essay. So basically there are two responsibilities or two jobs that the lead in the personal narrative has to do. The first one is that it has to have a grabber or a hook, something that really gets the reader's attention and makes them want to read more. We've gone over this a lot this year, and the same expectations apply here within your personal narrative. Now, the second is that rather than having a thesis like most pieces of writing, when you're writing a story, really the lead has to have just a clear purpose. So it has to be clear exactly what the story will be about. So we're not totally guessing. And we'll get more into what that looks like as we go on. Let's take a look at some of the techniques. The first technique is to begin with the brief anecdote, which basically means a small story. And that kind of sets up the rest of your essay. For instance, in this example, I was only 8, but I remember it like yesterday. I was sitting in doctor's office when they gave my parents and me the shocking news. I'm sorry to tell you this, but your daughter's condition is getting worse. The only way to fix it is by surgery. In this case, the audience is immediately drawn in by this story. This only 8-year-old girl is facing some pretty serious surgery. The second example is start with a simple fact that might be important later. And in this example, try to imagine a star so big that it would fill all the solar system within the orbit of the Earth, which is 93 million miles from the sun. A star so turbulent that its eruptions would spread and a cloud of gases spanning 4 light years, the distance from the sun to the nearest star. A star so powerful that it glows with the energy of 10 million suns, making it the brightest ever observed in our galaxy, the Milky Way. And in this situation, what the author Wildlord has tried to do is really stun his audience with a lot of facts, really kind of grab our attention right away. And even if you're not a real big science person or astronomy person, there are a lot of interesting facts, such as a star so powerful that it glows with the energy of 10 million suns, that really makes you wonder more about his topic. Oh, how'd that get there? The next one is something we've talked about a lot this year. It's how an author sets the mood with vivid and specific language. Sometimes we call it a snapshot. For example, in this book by Avi, he writes, "A thin crescent moon, high in the sky, shed faint white light over Dimwood Forest. Stars glowed, breezes full of ripe summer fragrances floated over nearby meadow and hill. Dimwood itself, veiled in darkness, lay utterly still." Now, in this case, a few things happen. If you look right here, right away, we've got some great sensory details. We've got the shed faint white right here, and in addition, down here, lay utterly still. Some great imagery to help us create that understanding of what's going on. The other thing, if you notice, a full ripe summer fragrance, and look at, got a picture of our nose guy here, because he's trying to indicate to us that we have some great sensory image that also impact smell. So again, a lot of different senses are being activated here to kind of help the reader create a picture and want to read more about the scene. The next very common strategy is to draw your readers into your writing with a question or two. For instance, in this book written about NBA, the authors say, "Have you ever imagined what it would be like to play in the NBA? To glide down the court, matching strides with the greatest basketball players in the world? To hear the roar of the crowd as you throw down a dunk or swat an opponent's shot in the bleachers? It's every kid's dream. And for the fortunate few who make it to the NBA, it's a dream come true." So right away, I mean, we've got so many different examples of great sensory details here. we've got the question up here that gets us to think a little bit about the topic, and then to glide down the court, matching strides of the NBA's greatest. You can almost see a player. You can put an eye there. You can almost see that. To hear the roar of the crowd, you can just imagine. It helps you recognize the intensity of an NBA game, and then or to swat at an opponent's shot. You can imagine feeling yourself swatting at the. You can almost imagine yourself swatting at the ball, and it kind of creates this really cool image. And the other thing that I wanted to point out that it does is that it really makes the purpose. If we look here and move these out of the way, it's every kid's dream. And for the fortunate few who make it to the NBA, it's a dream come true. We know because of this ending that this story is going to be about players who have had their dreams come true and play professional basketball. The next one is to gain your reader's attention with a startling fact, confession, quotation, or hint of what's to come. And this is a great example of one, very similar to how in A Christmas Carol it says, Marley was dead to begin with. Here in The Chocolate War by Robert Cormier, he starts with, they murdered him. So imagine reading and right away a couple things. First of all is the exclamation of murder. Oh my goodness, they murdered someone. And what also comes into play is you start to wonder, who'd they murder? I'd like to hear more about that. In this example from Homecoming by Cynthia Voigt, the author has decided to start with a dialogue. The woman put her sad, moonlit face in the moon face in the window of the car. You be good, she said. You hear me? You little ones mind what Dicey tells you. You hear? Yes, Mama, they said. So right away, a couple of things happen. First of all, there's this great visual imagery, the sad moon face. It reminds me rather of a very, very lonely person who looks really sad about something. And we know right here that it mentions that this right here, this says that it's their mom. And we know that their mom is going somewhere, but we don't know exactly where she's going. So this is an interesting way to do it too, because as a reader now, I'm questioning, I wonder where she's going. What's happening? Why is she saying these things to her kids? Here's an example from our defining moment from last year titled Numbers. And here's what the writer said. Math, I have always had a problem with it. I hate the decimals, fractions, division, multiplication, everything. I even had peer tutors to help me with it. But even that was a little hard too, because I was embarrassed to get something wrong in front of them and then tell them what I did to get that answer. The thing I hate most about math is multiplication. I don't even know my facts yet, and I'm in the 7th grade. I feel so stupid compared to everyone else in math class. I need help. One of the things that grabs me right away about this is the very, very clear kind of very honest intro of math I've always had problems with. So right away I'm like, wow, this author is really honest, and I can tell that he or she is going to be very honest throughout the piece. I'm also kind of shocked with the way that this author is able to be very honest with us and then admit some shocking facts. And what this helps me do, I feel so stupid compared to everyone in the class. As a reader, even if I didn't struggle in math, I will be able to connect with that feeling of not being great at something that other people do well at. Now please pause your video and jot down your thoughts on your guided notes about this example. In our next example, what I want you to pay close attention to is the way that the author adds imagery as well as connecting to kind of keep us guessing about what might happen. And this is from Sample 2, The Day I Was on My Own. That night, I couldn't sleep. All I could think of was, how am I going to do this? And I can't. The fear kept coming back to me. I kept tossing and turning all night with nervous thoughts going on throughout me. After tonight, it was the day I really didn't want to happen, the day I wanted to skip over, the day I had to overcome. Now, although we don't know exactly what this is about, There's definitely a clear purpose, and this is something that the author is not looking forward to. Some difficult challenge that he or she is about to face. Um, Visually, you can kind of relate to her with the details that she adds about tossing and turning all night. It reminds me of like a bad dream. And then I feel it's really nice as a reader that we can connect with her ending. That it was this day that she had been kind of dreading, and it was finally the night before. Okay, so that's our intro lesson into leads. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you took something away from it, and start thinking about how you may want to begin your own story, because that's what we're working on in class on Friday. And we will see you then. Have a great day. Oh, how'd that get there again? I'm sure it's really important, but maybe you should listen to it. I don't know, maybe. What do you think?